My name is Sandra Chappelle. I'm 31 years old, and the man I thought I'd marry just told me I'm going nowhere. It happened on a Sunday afternoon, the kind of day that looks perfect from the outside. Sunlight spilling through cafe windows, latte, foam hearts still intact, couples laughing over eggs, Benedict. Then there was us, sitting across from each other like strangers about to negotiate a contract termination. Jaden had that polished calm he uses at work, the kind that makes people mistake arrogance for confidence. He adjusted the cuff of his blazer, then leaned back with a sigh. Sandra, he began his tone, careful, too careful. We need to talk. I already knew what was coming. There's a look people give when they've made a decision and just need to justify it out loud. Okay, I said quietly. He smiled like it was an interview. I've been thinking about us, about our future. You've been at that little tech startup for 4 years now? And honestly, it's not leading anywhere. I didn't interrupt, I just stirred my coffee. He continued almost rehearsed. Meanwhile, people our age are moving up. My colleague Ryan just made senior consultant, 6 figures, new house in District 7. And you're still making 60-something thousand. I mean, come on, Tess. You're brilliant, but that's not impressive anymore. I looked up, meeting his eyes. Not impressive to who you? To anyone who's serious about life, he said smoothly. I can't marry someone who's content being average. You're 31. Don't you want more than living in a rented apartment and eating instant noodles during crunch time? His voice softened, then almost pitying. I love you. I do. But I can't keep pretending we're on the same level. I want a partner I can build a life with, not someone stuck in startup fantasy land. That's when it hit me. Not sadness, not even anger, just clarity. Fair assessment, I said. His eyebrows shot up. That's it, fair assessment. I nodded slowly. You've made your position clear. He frowned, thrown off by my calm. You're not even going to fight for us. I tilted my head. Would you if someone told you you're not enough for them? He hesitated, eyes flicking away. The silence stretched long enough for me to notice the faint reflection of us in the cafe window, him straight-backed, expensive, me small but steady. Jaden slid the engagement ring box across the table. The metal made a soft clink against the wood. Then I guess we're done. I stared at it. It looked smaller than I remembered. I'll be staying with Ryan for a while, he said, until you move your stuff out. The apartment's in my name, I reminded him. He blinked, caught off guard, then forced a smile. Then I'll pick up my things tomorrow. He stood, adjusted his jacket again. Honestly, Tess, this is for the best. Maybe it'll motivate you to get serious about your career. He left without waiting for a reply. For a few seconds, I just sat there staring at the empty chair across from me. The cafe noise returned, cutlery chatter, espresso. Hissing. My hands were trembling, but not from heartbreak, from restraint. I reached for my phone, opened my work email. The top message read, confidential upcoming IPO timeline and employee equity blackout period. The subject line I'd been waiting for. My chest tightened, not from loss, but from irony. Jaden had spent 3 years with me and never once asked what equity meant on my pay slips. Never asked about the late-night calls, the prototype meetings, the product launch anxiety. He just saw the surface worn-out sneakers and startup hoodies. He saw average. I saw the foundation of something that might finally take off. That night, our apartment felt strangely peaceful without him. His cologne still lingered, but faintly like a ghost of misplaced arrogance. I packed his cufflinks into a shoebox, left it by the door. Then I turned back to my laptop, refreshed the email, and read the numbers again. If projections held, the IPO valuation would triple overnight. My 8% stake, something I'd once written off as future, maybe money, was about to be worth millions. I leaned back in the chair, exhaling slowly. He'd left because he thought I was stuck, because he couldn't stand standing beside a woman who hadn't made it yet. The funny part, I hadn't even told him the best part of my job. We were building a platform that helps women secure financial independence. He thought I lacked ambition. I was literally working to give other women the freedom to leave men like him. My phone buzzed, group chat with my coworkers. Lynn, did everyone get the IPO, doc, NDA reminder? Me. Yep. Wild numbers. Hannah. We're gonna make it team. Finally. Lane pop champagne when it's official. I smiled. It felt like breathing fresh air after years in a sealed room. Then another notification, Jaden. I left the ring box on the table. Don't pawn it. It's from my mother. I stared at the message for a long time, then typed back, me don't worry. It's worth less than you think. I deleted our chat history after that. The next morning, I went to work like nothing happened. My team was buzzing with quiet energy, the kind that only comes before a breakthrough. On my way in, I caught my reflection in the elevator doors. For once, I didn't look like someone who'd been dumped. I looked like someone about to win quietly. As the elevator rose, my heart steadied, not from revenge, not from anger, but from purpose. If success was the language Jaden understood fine, I wouldn't speak it to him directly. I'd let the headlines do it for me. When he finally learned what Average had built, it wouldn't be through me. It would be through everyone else. And when that day came, I already knew what I'd say if he ever showed up again. Fair assessment. But this time it would mean something entirely different. The first message came exactly 5 weeks after Jaden walked out. I was eating takeout noodles at my desk when my phone lit up. Congrats from an old coworker I hadn't spoken to in months. Beneath it was a link to a financial blog article titled Rising Star Fintech Startup Skybound Goes, Public Employee Equity Worth Millions. My stomach dropped, then twisted into a quiet smile. There it was, the validation no words could buy. The numbers blinked back at me like a secret only the universe and I understood. My 8% stake was now valued at $8.2 million. Not bad for someone going nowhere. I scrolled through the comments, faceless investors, speculating analysts, dissecting, and then Jaden's cousin Ethan chiming in. Didn't your ex work there? Girl must be loaded now, lol. Of course, that's how Jaden found out. Within an hour, the flood began. Jaden. Hey, Tess. Can we talk, Jaden? I didn't realize it was that company. Jaden. I made a mistake. Jaden. Please call me. It's important. I didn't reply. I just muted the thread and took another bite of noodles. That night, I sat in the quiet glow of my laptop, refreshing stock prices, watching the numbers climb. It didn't feel like victory. It felt oddly calm. I thought of all the nights I'd coded through tears, wondering if any of it would matter. And now it did, just not in the way I'd imagined. A soft knock on my door pulled me back. When I opened it, Aaron stood there, tall, slightly rumpled, wearing a flannel shirt that still smelled faintly of chalk dust and coffee. Hey, he smiled, holding a grocery bag. I brought actual food that doesn't come in plastic containers. I laughed, stepping aside. Heroic effort, teacher boy. He grinned. I heard about your company's news. Already? Yeah, my students' parents were talking about the IPO. Half of them probably bought stock. He set the bag down and started unpacking vegetables. You okay? I should be ecstatic, I admitted, but it just feels surreal. Aaron sliced peppers with easy rhythm. You worked your ass off for this. That's real. Everything else is noise. He had a way of saying things that landed without drama. Maybe that's what I liked most. No performative ambition, no comparisons, just steady warmth. Still, as I watched him, I caught my reflection in the microwave steel door, and for the first time, I saw myself through Jaden's lens. Successful now, desirable. I hated that the thought even crossed my mind. 2 days later, the doorbell rang. I opened it and froze. Jaden stood there. Same designer coat, same cologne, same confident smirk that used to melt me before I realized it was mostly for himself. Tess, he said softly, as if saying my name would undo everything. You look amazing. I crossed my arms. What do you want, Jaden? Just to talk. His voice dripped nostalgia. Can I come in? We can talk here. He sighed, feigning hurt. Don't be like that. We've got history. We do, I agreed. You ended it. He hesitated. Look, I was under a lot of pressure. My mom, my friends, they make everything about status. I got caught up in it. Caught up enough to call me a failure. He winced. I didn't mean that. I panicked. And then Ethan sent me that stupid screenshot, and I realized I threw away the best thing I ever had. There it was. Not remorse, regret of opportunity loss. I see, I said evenly. I know it looks bad, but I miss us, he continued, stepping closer. I can make it right. We could start over. I'm seeing someone I cut in. His face froze just a flicker. You're what? It's been a couple months. His name's Aaron. The pause stretched until he forced a laugh. A teacher, seriously? Yes. How much does he make? 40 grand. I smiled, slow and deliberate. Enough to afford honesty. That's worth more than most salaries I know. For the first time, his polished mask cracked. You think this guy's going to keep up with you once the money hits your account? He sneered. He'll leech off you, Tess. Just wait. I opened the door wider. You should leave before you embarrass yourself further. He blinked, caught off guard by my calm again. Goodbye, Jaden. When I closed the door, my hands trembled, but not from fear, from release. That evening, Aaron came over with a bottle of cheap red wine and a container of hummus. You okay? He asked quietly. Guess who showed up? He didn't need to. Jaden. Aaron sighed, setting down the wine. You want me to go find him and grade his emotional intelligence. I burst out laughing. It felt good, like something unclogging inside my chest. No, but that might be the only test he's ever failed. Aaron poured 2 glasses. Here's to men who can't handle women doing better than them. We clinked glasses. And to women who stop explaining themselves. Later that night, as he dozed on my couch, I scrolled through my messages again. Jaden's last text glowed faintly in the dark. I made a mistake. I hovered over it for a second, then hit delete. Some lessons don't need replies. They need silence. Outside, rain started tapping against the windows, the kind that makes the city shimmer under streetlights. I stared out, half smiling, half aching. This wasn't revenge. Not yet. This was clarity. And it was only the beginning. The first sign that Jaden wasn't done came through my Instagram notifications. A tag, then another, then 3 more. When I opened the app, my feed looked like a digital scrapbook of our past photos from Paris, beach selfies, anniversary dinners. Each one newly resurrected with captions like, "Sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. Mistakes can be forgiven when love is real. Second chances. Tanned forever." My finger hovered over the screen, a laugh caught in my throat. Of course. The public pity campaign. Jaden wasn't trying to win me back. He was trying to rewrite the narrative. The comments were rolling in fast. At Kylie Dior, hope they get back together. At Business Ryan Man. She's the one that got away. Except I hadn't gotten away. I'd been thrown away, then suddenly rediscovered when my stock options turned into 7 zeros. Aaron was the one who noticed next. We were at a small cafe near his school, the kind that smells like cinnamon and pencil shavings because the owner lets kids sell their bake sale cookies there. He was grading papers. I was pretending not to check emails. He glanced up, phone in hand. Your ex is having a very poetic week. I snorted. What now? He showed me his screen, a photo from Jaden's story. A shot of us from 2 years ago, holding hands at the Saigon River Pier, captioned, "Some bonds can't be broken." Aaron grinned. That's a bold statement for a man who couldn't handle your success. I rolled my eyes. He's trying to bait sympathy. His favorite audience himself. Aaron leaned across the table, his tone teasing. Should I be worried about the tragic billionaire ex? Only if you think wealth makes me forget that you know how to fix a leaky faucet, I said. He laughed. Then I'm safe. The ease between us was something Jaden had never understood. With him, every conversation had stakes, a chance to impress, prove, or defend. With Aaron, silence itself was comfortable. A few days later, my phone rang again. Not Jaden this time, my brother David. Tess, he said carefully. Why is your ex texting me about your mental health crisis? I froze. He what? David read the message aloud. Hey man, just checking in. Sandra's been under a lot of stress with the IPO stuff. I'm genuinely worried she's not coping well. Please keep an eye on her. I could almost hear my pulse in my ears. Want me to block him? David asked. Yes, I said. And tell him if he's worried about my mental health, he should stop being the reason people need therapy. David laughed. Noted. Love you, sis. Love you too. When I hung up, the calm I'd been clinging to wavered. This wasn't heartbreak anymore. It was character assassination dressed as concern. Jaden had always been subtle in cruelty, disguising control as care, criticism as advice. Now he'd just traded conversation for manipulation. That night, I was halfway through a cup of tea when my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. The message preview read, Sandra, darling, it's Patricia. Of course, his mother. I didn't answer, but she followed up immediately with a call. Against better judgment, I picked up. Her voice was honeyed, the kind people pour over poison. Sandra, dear, I heard about your windfall. Congratulations. You've really made something of yourself. Thanks, I said cautiously. Jaden's just devastated, you know, she continued. He told me how horribly things ended. Poor boy, he hasn't been sleeping. I nearly laughed. He's fine, Patricia. Young people and your pride. She sighed. You mustn't let money cloud what's truly important. Like self-respect. A pause. Then the polite, brittle tone cracked. You know exactly what I mean. Jaden was raised with class. He just wants to make amends. Funny, I said he didn't want to make amends until he found out I wasn't poor. Patricia's composure slipped completely. Sandra, be realistic. You're successful now. Yes, but men like Jaden, he comes from good family. He has the right background. Good family didn't pay my rent when he moved out. The silence on the line was delicious. Finally, she sniffed. No one likes a woman who gloats, dear, especially not in public. I smiled into the receiver. Then you'll hate what's coming. And I hung up. The next morning, I woke to a text from Aaron. Just saw your ex's new post. Might be worth a laugh. It was a photo of him at a gym mirror shirt, off-captioned, working on myself. Sometimes success isn't just numbers, it's growth. The irony nearly made me choke on my coffee. I drafted a reply. Post nothing overt. Just one photo, me and Aaron, walking through a night market, laughing mid-motion. Caption, growth isn't flexing, it's peace. Within minutes, my notifications exploded. Friends commented, Heart's coworkers added clapping emojis. Even my boss replied, Queen energy. And right on cue, a new message from Jaden slid in. Jaden. That was cruel and unnecessary. Jaden. You don't have to embarrass me publicly, Jaden. Please, Tess, don't make this ugly. I typed back 2 words and hit send too late. That night, Aaron stopped by with takeout and that tired grin teachers have on Fridays. Rough day, I asked. 5th graders think the capital of Australia is Sydney, he said. They fought me on it for 10 minutes. I smirked. To be fair, it should be Sydney. He froze. Don't start. We ended up laughing until tears streamed down my face. When the laughter finally faded, he leaned against the counter watching me. You know what's wild? You don't even need revenge. You already won. I looked down at my wine glass, swirling what little was left. Winning doesn't always feel like peace. Maybe peace isn't the prize, he said gently. Maybe it's the proof. For the first time, I let that sink in. Because the truth was, no matter what Jaden did next, no post, no rumor, no manipulation, he couldn't touch what he'd already lost. And he was just starting to realize it. It started on a Tuesday morning. The air was heavy, the kind of humidity that clings to your skin and makes every email feel personal. At 10:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was a text from Aaron. Hey, did you give my school email to anyone? I frowned. Of course not. Why? He called me immediately. I could hear kids shouting in the background, recess chaos. Tess, I just got an email from someone named Jessica, claims she's a concerned friend warning me about you. My pulse slowed, then quickened again. What did it say? He read it out loud. I'm writing to protect you from making a big mistake. Sandra Chappell has a history of emotional manipulation and financial deception. She hides assets, controls people with money, and cheats. Be careful. I've seen what she does when she gets power. I sank into my chair. The office around me blurred into background noise. That's not all, Aaron continued, his voice dripping with disbelief. They sent it to my work email, which means my principal saw it. Oh my God. She called me in thinking I was being financially abused, he said, half laughing, half horrified. Then she read it, rolled her eyes, and said, any man whose ex is that crazy is probably worth keeping. That made me laugh so hard I nearly cried. Your principal's a legend. She's been divorced 3 times, Aaron said, chuckling. She's got experience. When he hung up, I sat there staring at my screen, half amused, half shaking. Jaden had officially crossed a line. He wasn't just humiliating himself. Now he was attacking the one person who'd done nothing but treat me with kindness. And if there's one thing people like him don't understand, it's that kindness doesn't mean weakness. That night I decided to hit back, not with rage, not with a scene, with subtlety. I posted a single photo on my public page, me and Aaron at a small steakhouse, his hand resting lightly on mine. Our wine glasses half full. Caption, happiness is finding someone who valued you before the headlines. No hashtags, no names, just calm truth. Within an hour, my notifications went nuclear. Lynn, the softest revenge is peace. At Hannah. We love a quiet queen. At Business Ryan. Well, Jaden's going to spiral after this one. And he did. By midnight, the DMs started. Jaden. That was cruel, Tess. You didn't have to show off. Jaden classy. Flaunting your new man and your money. Jaden. You think people respect you? They're laughing. I ignored all 3. But the next morning, the attacks shifted gears. This time, it wasn't just him. Patricia texted me. Sandra, this behavior is beneath you. You're humiliating yourself and Jaden. Take the post down before it ruins your reputation, I replied. The post didn't mention names, Patricia. If it feels personal, that's not my fault. No response. Then my coworker Lynn called me from the break room, whispering through a laugh. Girl, your ex's mom just commented on our company page. What? She congratulated us on finally making real money and said she's glad you're focusing on career now that marriage didn't work out. I stared at the phone. You're kidding. She even tagged a Jaden, Lynn added wheezing. He replied with a prayer hands emoji. It was absurd, theater level absurd. I almost wanted to send them both a thank you basket for free marketing. Aaron and I met later that evening at his favorite park. The city lights glowed on the lake's surface, and a pair of kids were chasing dragonflies nearby. He looked at me with that steady gaze again. "You okay?" "Honestly," I said. "I thought I'd be furious, but I'm mostly embarrassed for them." Aaron smiled faintly. "You're handling this like someone who's already won." "Maybe," I said, "but it's not over." He's the kind of man who thinks losing control means raising the volume. Aaron nodded. "Then don't play his game. People like that only win if you react." I wanted to believe him. But a small, defiant part of me, the same part that once let Jaden talk down to me, was now burning quietly, whispering, "Don't just ignore it. Outsmart him." The next few days were an avalanche of pettiness. Jaden started posting cryptic quotes. "Some people mistake silence for guilt. Be careful who you step on climbing up. They might own the ladder." Then one morning, he posted a photo of himself standing next to a luxury car with the caption, "Not everyone can buy class." The comments were brutal. "Kylie D, someone's hurt." At line sir. "She literally bought peace, not cars." At Hannah Jaden. "Blink twice if you need therapy." I didn't write a single word. I didn't have to. The internet did it for me. 3 nights later, I was cooking when Aaron called from his car. "Turn on your notifications," he said, voice trembling with amusement. "What now?" "You've officially become a meme." I checked my phone. A viral tweet showed Jaden's car photo next to mine with the caption, "When your ex buys inner peace instead of a lease." Over 80,000 likes. I laughed until my stomach hurt. For the first time in months, I slept soundly. No anxiety, no anger. Just a quiet certainty that Jaden's unraveling wasn't my burden to carry anymore. Because the truth was, you can't outfight someone who's already defeated by their own reflection. All I had to do was stand still and let him trip on his own ego. The peace didn't last long. It never does when ego's involved. The next act of Jaden's downfall began not with a text or a post, but with an unexpected message from my old roommate, Grace. "Grace, hey, stranger. Long time. You'll never guess who just slid into my DMs." I stared at the name. My stomach did a small, almost amused flip. "Me. If it's who I think it is, please tell me you took screenshots." She replied with a photo attachment, Jaden smiling stiffly in a cafe selfie. Then the message beneath it, "Hey, Grace. Hope you're doing great. Random, but could we meet for coffee?" I wanted to talk about Sandra, maybe clear the air. I'll buy, of course. Grace, ever the chaotic neutral, had written back, "Sure, but only if it's the kind of gossip that buys dessert." That night, Grace called me, whispering dramatically like she was in a spy movie. "Okay, listen. He wants me to accidentally run into you at your gym. Said he'd give me $500 to mention how much he's changed." I blinked. "He's paying you to manipulate me." "Mm-hmm," she said, crunching on chips. "Apparently I'm supposed to say you've been asking about him, that you're still hurt that he's in therapy." I laughed so hard I had to sit down. "Grace, please tell me you said yes." "Oh, absolutely," she replied. "And I'm recording the whole thing. Legal in our state, by the way." "God, I missed you." She snorted. I live for morally justified chaos. The next day, she met him at a fancy coffee shop, his choice, obviously. The recording later played like a bad soap opera. Jaden's voice was low, careful. "I just want her to know I've changed. If you can, casually bring me up, I'll pay you extra." Grace. "How much extra?" Jaden. "Another $500 if she agrees to meet me for coffee." Grace. "So you're bribing me to emotionally catfish your ex?" Jaden chuckled nervously. "That sounds worse than it is." "Because it is worse than it sounds," she deadpanned. He kept talking, spilling delusions like confessions. "She still wears that bracelet I gave her, right? I saw it in her post. She must miss my cooking. No one makes lasagna like me." Grace later told me she almost choked on her latte, trying not to laugh. I hadn't worn that bracelet in 2 years. He'd never cooked me lasagna in his life. We decided to take it one step further. For the next 3 days, Grace fed him lines I wrote, absurd ones, ridiculous enough to sound true if you're desperate. She said she still keeps your hoodie on the couch. She looked sad when she passed that Italian place you two used to go to. She mentioned she still checks your old Spotify playlists. Each time, Jaden replied instantly, his replies a perfect cocktail of arrogance and hope. I knew it. She still feels something. It's just pride holding her back. Grace collected screenshots, receipts, voice notes, everything. Then, on the 4th day, she sent the final message. "Just so you know, I've been forwarding all this to Sandra. She says thanks for the $1,000. It's going toward her next date night with Aaron." Radio silence for 30 seconds. Then the explosion. 17 missed calls. 3 voicemails. A text that read, "That was theft. I'll sue both of you." Grace replied with a screenshot of his first message offering payment and wrote, "For what you hired me to talk about you. I did. Transaction complete. He didn't respond. That evening, I posted a single story, a photo of a small jewelry box, with the caption, "Some lessons cost exactly 1,000 to learn." I didn't mention names. Didn't need to. Within minutes, people got it. The comments poured in like applause. At Lynn Hay paid the tuition for your piece. At Hannah, we love poetic justice with receipts. At Grace, best internship I've ever done. Later that night, Aaron came over, a tub of ice cream in one hand and a grin in the other. Did you really just post that? Yup, I said, spooning chocolate straight from the carton. It's art. He laughed, sitting beside me. You're terrifying. Only to men who underestimate me. He raised his spoon. To Jaden, the sponsor of your self-respect fund. We clinked spoons, and for the first time I felt a kind of peace that wasn't just quiet, it was earned. Because real revenge doesn't need shouting or chaos. It's calm, collected, and perfectly timed. And Jaden had just paid the bill for mine. It was a Wednesday afternoon when the receptionist called my office. Ms. Chappell. There's someone here to see you. Says it's urgent. I felt it before she said the name. Jaden. Of course. The last page of every bad story always tries to rewrite itself. I'll come down, I said, though. My gut twisted with both dread and grim amusement. When the elevator doors opened there, he was standing in the lobby like he owned it, holding a neatly wrapped box and wearing the same navy blazer from our first anniversary. His hair was styled, shoes polished, desperation disguised as charm. Tess. His smile cracked slightly at the edges. You look incredible. Jaden, you're not supposed to be here. I just needed 5 minutes. He stepped closer, lowering his voice like we were conspirators. I wanted to return some things. Yours. He held out the box. Inside were a few old t-shirts, a chipped coffee mug, and my old college textbooks, things I'd thrown out when he moved out. You dug through the trash for this, I asked flatly. He had the nerve to look proud. I kept them safe. They meant something to us. Behind me, 2 of my coworkers, Lynn and Derek, had paused at the lobby cafe, pretending to sip lattes while very obviously watching the scene unfold. Jaden, I said evenly, we're done. You shouldn't be here. He ignored that. I just wanted closure. You humiliated me online. You let people think I'm some kind of villain. You didn't need my help for that. His eyes darkened. You planned this. You hid your success. You wanted to make me look like a fool. I laughed softly. Jaden, I didn't hide anything. You just never asked. He took a step forward, voice rising. You lied to me by omission. You left because you thought I was broke, I said quietly. That's not on me. That's on you and your expectations. A few people had stopped pretending not to listen. Phones were subtly pointed in our direction. Jaden glanced around, noticing the attention, and tried to lower his voice again. Sandra, I'm trying to be civil here. You don't have to perform. I crossed my arms. Neither do you. What do you actually want? His jaw tightened. Then, out of nowhere, he blurted, You think you're better than everyone now. You and your little teacher boyfriend. I blinked, startled by the venom. Aaron has nothing to do with this. Oh, please, he sneered. You think that man loves you for you. He's using you. Once he finds out what you're really worth, he'll cling even harder. Maybe I said calmly, but at least he'll be holding on out of love, not ego. The elevator chimed behind us. Derek walked over, stepping between us slightly. Everything okay here, Tess? Just wrapping up old business, I said. Jaden scoffed. You think you can humiliate me in front of people now? Fine. You want drama. Here. He raised his voice, drawing more eyes. I'm not leaving until you admit you used me. You made me look stupid. Before I could answer, he played his final card. I'm telling you this because I care, he said, voice trembling slightly. I think you should know I'm the father. You're pregnant, aren't you? The entire lobby went still. I blinked once, then twice, and then I laughed, out loud. Jaden, I said, still half laughing, we haven't slept together in 4 months. He flushed bright red. You could have before. Before you moved out and posted your Tinder vacation photos, I interrupted. Try again. You're lying. You're drinking, I said, nodding at his hand, the faint smell of whiskey lingering under the cologne. And you're embarrassing yourself. The security guard, who'd been quietly edging closer, finally stepped in. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Jaden tried one last lunge of dignity. You'll regret this, Sandra. When your little school teacher gets tired of you and runs off with someone who has real ambition, you'll come crawling back. Maybe I said softly, but I doubt it. The guard guided him toward the exit. He kept talking until the doors shut behind him, his voice fading into muffled echoes against the glass. For a long moment, I just stood there. Then Lynn called from the cafe, raising her coffee. 10 out of 10 performance. Oscar-worthy. Derek added, "Don't worry, we'll edit the footage if it goes viral." I couldn't help it. I laughed until I had to wipe my eyes. That evening, I told Aaron everything. He was on my couch, shoes off, scrolling through lesson plans. When I reached the part about the pregnancy accusation, he choked on his water. "She what?" "Yep," claimed I was carrying her child. "She really is spiraling," he said, shaking his head, still laughing. "I think she's sorry he wants to come back to her." Aaron smiled, wrapping his arm around me. Then let him sing solo. "You've got a better show now." We ordered takeout and ate straight from the containers, watching a terrible reality show about failed proposals. Between laughter, there was quiet, the good kind. The kind that means you're safe now. When the credits rolled, I glanced at my phone one last time. A single unread message from Jaden. "I hope she's worth losing your soulmate over." I deleted it without reading the rest. Aaron had fallen asleep beside me, head resting on my shoulder. He was wearing one of my old startup t-shirts. Ironically, the one Jaden used to call cheap-looking. I smiled. It wasn't cheap. It was freedom woven in cotton. Months later, when our lockup period ended, I sold just enough shares to buy a small home near the edge of the city, a quiet place with a garden and enough sunlight for Aaron's plants. I paid off my parents' mortgage, then closed my laptop and exhaled. No designer handbags, no champagne posts, no revenge speeches. Just quiet victory. Because the real revenge wasn't the money. It wasn't the public exposure. It was peace, the kind no one can take or fake. And as I watched Aaron outside teaching the neighbor's kid how to fix a paper airplane, I realized Jaden didn't just lose me. He lost the version of me that once believed his love